year's general election dipped to nearly its lowest point in 2 decades. Election officials are still tabulating ballots, but so far, the 126 million votes counted means only about 55% of voting-age citizens cast ballots this year.
Limited and uneven participation in local elections has helped to restrict the number of minorities in local office, which in turn affects government spending priorities. As a result, Latinos, Asian Americans, and African Americans regularly end up on the losing side because their voices are more muted than they could be. A reporter from CBS suggests that we could improve voter turnout by making it a national holiday. People need to understand it's not just a right to vote. It's a special gift bestowed to our country by our forefathers and paid for with the blood of many generations of our ancestors. Australia has a mandatory voting requirement for all adult citizens and has a voting gap of less than 1%. The United States has the largest class bias in electoral turnout and the least amount of government redistribution. Same-day registration, early voting, increased hours for the polls, and decreasing the restrictions on voter identifications all boost voter turnout and will decrease the voting gap in not only income, but for other shared characteristics of many non-voters, such as race, age, and level of education. In Michigan's midterm election, voter turnout among the state's unemployed workers was the lowest it has been for almost 10 years.
How can people educate themselves on when there's going to be a local vote?
Well, MLive will always cover the election. So the simple answer is there is not a daily newspaper,
right,
but there is a website that is populated every day with stories about things that are local. And if you I do my work at my desk, and so I see MLive all the time, and I feel like I have a decent sense of what's going on.
The League of Women Voters is an educational, nonpartisan organization. Our goal is to give voters the information they need to make a good choice at the polls. And so we do lots of things. One of the main efforts now that it's the year 2000 is we have an online voter guide. We also have a print voter guide, but since it's 2016, we're hoping people will go online and not waste all the papers. And so you can go to vote411.org, put in your address, and your ballot will show up. We do not tell you how to vote. We send them an email with a list of questions, and they write their answers back, and we print those answers.
What else would you recommend for people to do to try and keep up on local elections? Or just, yeah,
in general, I think that is a problem. I think we have too many elections. I mean, I think that the League would recommend fewer elections. People study up, get ready for that election. And everybody knows you need to vote in November, but we have August primaries, we have some May elections. People don't know. The League will put a little ad in the Ann Arbor Observer. I think we need to do a lot more. People post on Facebook now to make people aware that there's an election.
Yeah.
I think another contributing factor is the demise of local newspapers.
Yes. Yeah. And it's just it is crazy to me to look back over over time and see that even before, the voter turnout has been pretty consistently low in our country, which is, I find, pretty astounding. Because I thought when we were going to do this project we were going to go back and see a lot more fluctuation, but it's been steadily in like the 50s to 60 percentile of voters, which is just astounding to me.
Now, some countries have different systems, for better or worse. Some countries it's required that you vote, like you'll get a penalty if you don't vote. Some countries have a national holiday, but I'm afraid people would just go to the beach, or I don't go to the movies. I don't know. They do have higher turnouts. I just think it's people don't appreciate the right. I mean, it's like we all take things for granted if it comes to us too easily, and I think we just don't realize what we have.
So what does this mean for you?
It means you should get more involved in your local election. Not only get more involved, but educate yourself about the issues and who is running.
Yes, there's plenty of resources out there. Like you've heard from the League of Women Voters that has a website that you can go and access that'll tell you all the information about the candidates and the other possible proposals that will be on your ballot. So you need to educate yourself and you need to educate those around you so that everyone's voice can be heard.